the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled are musician Charles Wright and actor-composer Victor Lundin. Guitarist, composer Charles Wright was born in Mississippi and raised in Los Angeles. He attended Los Angeles City College and then went on to Harbor General College. We all remember Charles and his Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band, but he worked on a single with Bill Crosby. He has had numerous advertising commercials for, say, Nike, Burger King, Gatorade, etc. And he's written soundtracks for several films, Boogie Nights, Remember the Titans, and the big hit music, Express Yourself, in the Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie film, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Charles, Express Yourself follows you everywhere you go. There must be a great story behind it.
Well, actually, yeah. I'm glad it's following me. I'm following it right now. I wrote that song spontaneously. I was at a concert at Texas A&M University, and we have another song called Do Your Thing that was a big record at the time.
Oh, do your thing. Like
Yeah.
express yourself and do
Yeah.
your thing.
Yeah.
Those are the right things to say,
All
right?
I guess. So, Express Yourself came about because at the end of Do Your Thing just stops abruptly. And when it did, the children just went crazy. They were still stomping their hands and clapping their feet. And something told me to say, express yourself. And it was overwhelming what came back from the crowd. And I said it a few other times, and they just really went wild. So I started trying to sing the song right there, but we had no music for it. So I went to the hotel that night and started writing it. And I finished it about 12 o'clock the next day.
So that was really the inspiration of your audience.
Yeah.
That made you do that.
Made me express myself.
Thank you, audience.
Really? Yeah.
But you're a guitarist.
Yeah, I'm a guitarist. I play all the rhythm instruments.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
So you started the 103rd Street Rhythm Band?
Yeah, we started out, we were Charles Wright and the Wright Sounds for a long time. And then when we got involved with Cosby, that's when we changed our name.
And what were you doing with Cosby?
Well, I was a studio musician at the same time. I was also working in nightclubs at night with my band. Oh. But in the daytime, I was a studio musician. I was playing behind practically everybody. So
all the good musicians are studio musicians, aren't they?
Well,
they say you can go find
lots
them
of them get. Yeah, that's where you find them. And one day I was playing with this orchestra I played with often, and Bill Cosby, and he was at the peak of his fame with I Spy. He and a guy named Fred Smith, who was a producer, they were looking for a band to record Cosby's first single. Oh. And they stayed all day. They were all enthralled in the music, and when they left there, they told us they would call us. And so a week later, I'm in there with Cosby doing his first single.
So that's how that happened. So then when did you change it to 103rd Street?
Well, the guy, the manager, he's kind of an ingenious guy, the producer, he came up with that name.
And why? What is 103rd Street? What's over there?
Well, that's where the riots were overall.
During the Watts riots?
The Watts
it's not where the towers are.
Towers at 108th is about 5 blocks away.
Oh, they are that close. Mm-hmm. The Simon Rodia Tower, I couldn't remember. Yeah. Did you ever play out there in that area?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so after that, we did 2 albums with Cosby too. He wanted to sing. He started a singing career back there, and we were playing behind him. And we became his band, his traveling band.
Is that right? So you traveled with him?
Yeah, so that's...
Did you ever sing?
Oh, yeah, I had to. Every time he fall down, I had to come pick it up.
Did you sing? I wonder.
Yeah.
You know, you started, when did you know you were a musician?
You know, I started out as a doo-wop singer. I went to high school.
Where did you go to high school?
I started at Manual Arts High School.
Oh, yes, Manual.
You know Manual Arts?
Of course,
Purple
I used
and the
to
Gray?
teach over there.
Oh, yeah.
42nd Street.
Oh, yeah. All right. Great. Well, fantastic. Well, the first day I went there, I don't know when you were there, but when I went there, they had these groups, vocal groups that had records on the radio that were going to Manual Arts. And
oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah.
I was at Menlo School,
Menlo,
which was a block away from the college, and the college kids used to park over by our school where our bungalows were.
Yeah, well, I'll be kidding. Yeah, so then Manual had a lot of bungalows.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first day I went to sit down and eat lunch, I had bought my lunch, you know, and I sat down at the table and I heard this sound. It was way over there someplace, but I never heard anything like it. So I wrapped my lunch up and I followed in that sound. And I went, there's drum behind one of those bungalows. So I got back there and there were these four guys with their lips protruded into each other's faces singing 4-part harmony. And it was the most beautiful thing I ever heard. And that was the day.
That was like rap in your time.
Much better than rap, though.
But I mean, it was something that started. It was a movement, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then were you playing the guitar at that time?
I was doing nothing.
You were doing nothing?
I doing nothing. I heard those guys sing, and that just made me want to become a part of this. And then
that's very interesting. You started really late. That's pretty late, high school, because most musicians are picking up their instruments and playing it. The reason I was wondering is you said you went to LA City College where you learned a lot about music. And I was surprised that you said that.
Well, I would...
or you got some musical knowledge, let's say that.
Yes, I did learn a lot. But let me tell you, what happened, I took clarinet while I was at Manual Arts. But the teacher gave me a D and told me to do anything except don't play music. Don't even think about playing music.
Isn't that a sad situation?
Yeah, it's true, yeah. So it broke my heart. But anyway, I ended up with a vocal group. We had a big record, number 12 in the country. It was called You Cheated. And so we only had guitar and vocals on it, background singers. And we went on the road, and our first show was at the Apollo Theater.
And these are pictures from the Apollo, but not at that time,
that's
right?
a different time, yeah.
But I'm just going to show these while you're talking.
Okay. And the orchestra had about 30-some pieces, well, maybe 25 pieces in it. But they had no guitar. And so we didn't sound like ourselves. And so I decided that I got with the group and told them we should learn to play all our own instruments. And one guy said, well, I'm going to learn to play the piano, but I was already playing the piano. I was keeping the group together. Yeah, I was keeping the group together, the piano. And he argued he had already ordered lessons and everything, so I said, okay. Other guy said he's going to play bass, and the other one going to play the drums. So that left me, a left-handed guy,
with the guitar,
to play the guitar. So as you can see, I played bottom sides upwards.
Did you have to start? Did you teach yourself?
I had to teach myself.
I can't imagine, because we were talking about kids today use the computer. They don't even know how to play.
They don't have the incentive that we had in those days, yeah. Because if you didn't play it, you didn't get it in those days.
And now you say that they should be playing instruments.
Absolutely, yeah. The children, in fact, it's not in the schools anymore. It's not in the curriculum like it was before. I think Ronald Reagan taking it out of the schools, and unfortunately, we've since then become accustomed to a metronome. So everybody make their music mostly. They use a metronome in the computer. So.
In the computer,
Yeah.
And you say the computers have
no heart.
No heart.
And definitely has no soul.
And they have no soul. And you say that, you're saying the kids should be writing soul music. If they don't have any soul, they don't know what soul is.
How are they going to write soul music?
I don't know. So how do you do it?
You don't fake it. That's for sure. No, you learn how to play an instrument. That's how you do it.
One of the things that you interacted with corporate America because of all the music that you wrote.
Yes.
So you had to be like from Madison Avenue to where? The stage.
Yeah, and I'm thankful, that happened. I mean, that's just, I don't know if express yourself is a fluke or what, but everybody wants to use it.
And how does everybody get to use it, though?
They call and ask for it. All they do is call me or Warner Chapel Music, and they can get it.
But what if somebody like CNN wants to use it? You say,
they are
or
using
Botox uses it.
They're using it.
But isn't it the same music, or is it just the saying "express yourself"?
I think it's well, I don't know. It's the music too, I'm sure, because there are a lot of express yourselves out there. Madonna's got one.
Yeah, but it's all your.
Yeah, they usually use mine, and I think it's it might have to do with God gift, because I was sincere in what I was doing at the time that we did that record.
Oh, I'm going to hold up. I'm going to hold this up because I don't want to miss. This is the cover poster for one of your.
That's
CDs.
my blues CD. Yes.
This is your blues CD.
That's High Maintenance Woman, by the way.
Oh, that's High Maintenance Woman?
Yeah, I brought you a High Maintenance Woman hat. I didn't know if you like pink or blue. Maybe your daughter would like one.
I like high maintenance. I am high maintenance, but I also want to show you. I want to show
That's the first
this
thing you said. That's me.
That's me, high maintenance, because I love this in your yellow suit.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's my new CD, Finally Got It Right, which you can get
everywhere.
Yeah, practically everywhere. Yeah.
But the other thing is, we think about. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We think about Etta James and Gladys Knight and Ike Turner. Those are all the kinds of sounds that are you. But we don't think about the sounds like Peggy Lee, Pat Boone, Mae West, which is bizarre. But you work with all those kind of people.
Yeah, I've been a fortunate person. I came straight out of the cotton fields of Mississippi, and I got into this industry, and I met some of the most important people in this industry, and I'm very thankful and proud of that. Mae West, Mae West wanted to sing rock and roll. I was.
Did you see her? Were you with her?
Oh yeah, I was with her.
Over at Rossmore, she had an apartment.
No, she had a beautiful place out on Santa Monica Beach.
Oh, at the beach you went.
Yeah, and so she'd have us come over there, and she couldn't sing, but she wanted to sing rock and roll. Yeah. And so.
Did you write her some stuff?
No, I didn't write anything. She had her own stuff, but it just wasn't sellable. And Peggy Lee, we worked with Peggy Lee. We opened what is now the Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas when it very first opened.
Yeah, that was the good days.
Yeah, we did 6 weeks there on the same stage with her, and Barbra Streisand was on the next stage.
So you've been with everyone. Charles Wright finally got it right.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
And don't go away. We'll be right back with Victor Lundin. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with actor, singer, composer, writer, Victor Lundin. I love the way he spells his name, L-U-N.
D-I-N.
I know, not London that we know, London, right?
Right.
He was born in Chicago and attended 3 colleges in Illinois: Northwestern School of Music and Drama, University of Illinois School of Music, and Roosevelt University of Music. And he was working in the music school all the time, but your TV shows came along and you're best known for Star Trek.
Well, Star Trek, actually, the predecessor was Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, and that was the harbinger of everything that happened at Paramount. It was the biggest sci-fi budget film in the middle 60s.
Wow.
And in fact, they've never released it in any other form since then, but now it's coming out on a Criterion Paramount label.
That's what I read.
Yeah, it's
and you're working on it? You're doing
well, I'm
an
going to do
animated?
some. No. This is a version of the original, and they're doing narration and a music video, which I wrote for the movie.
Oh.
Which was not in the movie at the time. I wrote it recently.
Well, you know, I was going to go on and talk about the movies you were in. You were in, like, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Batman and Babylon 5, and then you did lots of sci-fi work, which,
I did, yeah.
which was what we're talking about now, right? But the thing that got me the most, and now that I hear your voice, you were actually with the Chicago Civic Lyric Opera.
Yes.
You were.
Well, I made a debut in Don Giovanni, but it was about 40 feet in the air.
What
because
was that?
I played the commandatore on a statue.
Oh.
And it was a very hairy experience because I was in a suit of armor with a little piece of wood holding me, and I really don't like height. And
you're so tall, though.
well, that's it added to it. But when they opened the curtain and I saw this immense crowd of thousands of people, the armor almost started to rattle. And the hairy thing is, I'm wearing this little pith helmet, and then the Don Giovanni says to me, because I'm a ghost now, he invites me for dinner, and I have to answer, "See," and the helmet slipped a little bit with the spike, and he's right under me, and I'm thinking, I'm going to kill him.
Oh my gosh.
The opera's going to be over. No.
That is so, because you studied music and composition and music and drama, and why didn't you continue to be an opera singer?
I flipped a coin. I was going to go to study with the Ricci's in Rome, when that was the stylish thing to do, or come here. And so it came up Rome, and I came here.
You didn't pay any attention. You were going to come to Hollywood no matter what, right?
I cheated, yes. Yeah.
So did you have a course of action that you thought you would be taking? I mean, did you think you'd be an actor? Did you think you were going to be a musician?
Well, I think the acting bug started at a very early age. When I was in Chicago, my mother was married a few times, and one man she was married to was a kind of let's say, a collector for the mob, and looked like this a little bit. So she was very, very adamant that he wouldn't gamble. She couldn't stop him. It was a disease. So he would take me on a Saturday or any day of the week I was out of school and hand me some dimes. And in Chicago on State Street, there was like 20 theaters. And he said, look, you go to the theater, and afterwards of the movies, you tell me what it's about, and then we go home together.
So that she would think she was with you.
That's
he was
right.
with you.
So I grew up on every kind of movie you could think of.
I thought he was going to send you around with a paper bag to collect dollar bills.
I did that. I went with him sometimes, and I learned at an early age to put gum on my shoe.
And why was that?
Well, we'd go into these gambling halls, and there was always money on the floor.
Oh, stick to the bottom of your
Absolutely, yeah. Little fun buddy,
Well, you did the right thing, because
Absolutely.
you have a great career, and it's probably longer than if you'd stayed on the stage, right? Singing.
It's hard to say. Walter Matthau was a friend of mine. We did a film in Greece, and Robert Preston. They wanted me to go to New York, but I just always wanted to be here, and I didn't like New York. It felt confining. So I just decided to stay here,
So you brought up the science fiction film that you were in.
Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
Yeah, Robinson Crusoe. And then how did you get involved in Star Trek?
Well, Gene Roddenberry was, of course, the producer. Now, a lot of people don't know that the co-producer and his right-hand man was Byron Haskins, who directed Robinson Crusoe on Mars and was responsible for much of the War of the Worlds, which preceded everything known back in the 50s with Gene Barry. But Byron wanted me to play Spock. And there was an argument. And, I would have saved them millions. You know how? Look at my ears. Think of all the prosthetics they would have saved money on.
But that's how they knew you. They knew you.
They knew
then.
me from Robinson Crusoe on Mars, which at that time, $1 million for a movie, you know, the $1 million movie on television. Anyway, Leonard has a kind of a different look. And then he's smaller than me, and I didn't want anybody to overpower Jeff Hunter, who was in the pilot and the first.
And you're very tall and very.
Leonard is not short, but he's about 6'1", and I'm 6'4".
Oh, so that is a big difference,
Yeah,
though, because your presence is really strong.
Yeah, I was kind of buff, and Leonard is very, very, very lean, even today, you know.
So were you happy with that role?
Robinson Crusoe on Mars?
Both.
Well,
did they both open doors for you?
They did, yeah.
Because obviously Robinson Crusoe opened Star Trek, and then did Star Trek open other TV?
All kinds of work for me. But and I kept composing. In fact, about that time, it's not on my bio, I guess they forgot to put it, I did a song for Two for the Seesaw, worked with Shirley MacLaine and Robert Mitchum. Yeah, it's called Gitana, Gypsy Girl. Robert Weiss cast me in the role.
Well, so the music was really in your background. I mean, it was very prevalent. You wrote this CD, The Storyteller.
Yes.
Did this come out of?
It came out of life experiences.
It's about your children, about raising your
everybody's
kids.
child within themselves.
You talk about being a single father raising your kids.
I was at first scared to death when my wife decided she wanted to do some things on her own, and so, as fate would have it, the children ended up with me, and I was scared to death. And it's like, you know, I wore a size maybe 10, and now my shoe size is 14, so the shoes of the fishermen. But they grew up with me, and I had to kind of curtail a lot of trips on a lot of roles I was offered, because I had a lot of friends who rose in the industry as directors, stars, producers, and they would call me, as they did, you know, earlier in my career. But go ahead.
You know, when you talk about being afraid of doing it and having to raise 3 kids, at the time you were doing it, that was a single mother's thing. That was a frightening thing for single mothers. Now we talk about it more freely. A single mother can do this, or a single father even does it. But when you were going through it, it was a different kind of situation.
It was a test. Couldn't have done it without some help south of the border. Enough said with that. You know.
We do. We need it. We love it.
And, you know.
And during that time, you went to Loyola Marymount and actually got a degree finally. Didn't you get a degree from these other universities?
Well, I did a show called The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Were
lead
you a bad
writer,
guy?
No, I played, this is interesting, I played a toreador. And I had to lose weight because it was the same costume, and I saw his name in it, that Tyrone Power wore in Blood and Sand.
No.
It was so tight that I had trouble breathing.
Like from Western Costume or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. So I had a part in that show, but the head writer, Gelman was his name, he was going to Loyola to finish his work, and he said, come along. And I said, go back to school again? Come on. He said, no, come on. So I did.
So that was great.
Yeah, it helped polish instincts for writing and composition.
Oh, that was good. The other thing, before we leave, I know The Theory of Everything.
Right.
It's on its path to an Emmy.
Hopefully.
Tell us about it.
Well, I heard about it from a friend, and I pounded on the director's. No, that's Fatal Kiss.
Oh, excuse me. Shall I show it anyway?
That's another show that's coming out.
Okay, I'll just show it while you're talking about
Okay.
the theory.
The Theory of Everything, the director and writer, producer, Dave DeVos, wrote a terrific script. And I knew that part was me. So I kept knocking on his door. He finally let me in. We turned on the camera. And we improvised for about an hour and a half. I still had to go up against hundreds of actors. Now, he had planned to use Rod Steiger. Rod Steiger passed away at that time, about 3 or 4 years ago.
So
And
this
then-
is from that.
This is from The Theory of Everything. Not really as ominous as it looks, because I'm defending my ranch and my work, because in the search for God, which is what the story is about, inspired by a book by Stephen Hawking, The Theory of Everything.
Oh yeah. Oh.
So I don't want to go. You know, it was like, please, Mr. Custer, I don't want to go.
Right.
So they wanted to take me away and take everything from me. But long story short, Dave finally got so fed up with me knocking on his door and reading. He finally one day in a reading, he said, "Here," threw the script at me, said, "You got the part."
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
So that was it. And you talked about defending your ranch, but one of the last things that I wanted to talk to you about before we leave is you're working on Whatever Happened to John Wayne.
That is a script I have worked on for many years, and it looks like we're going to do it in New Mexico. And we've got some talent that wants to do the part. And we answer the question, Whatever Happened to John Wayne? And it's a kind of like Stand By Me meets John Wayne. And it's an interesting story.
You're not playing John Wayne?
No. It's going to be in virtual reality, John Wayne. I have a part in there for myself.
Oh,
as
good.
A kind of an interesting character who runs a bar and a restaurant, you know, and lives in the past. The name of the bar and restaurant is called The Pastime.
The Pastime. And who are you depicting? Can we know?
A gentleman who, say, he's kind of like the Greek chorus. His words of wisdom. You know.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, because the way the script evolves, the character has a lot to say.
Well, you had a lot to say today.
Well,
Thank you.
You let me, and I want to thank you. I didn't show up.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Lovely to meet you.
Likewise.
And thank you for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, 90017. We'll see you next time.